when you look into all of it, I do agree. The fact that he's a captain, I'm not going to go as far as to say he's wrong for airing his stuff out publicly because there's been other stars that have done this, like Jalen Ramsey going back to his days with the Jaguars. That was a whole saga. Lamar Jackson, captain of his team, leader of his team, the quarterback, the biggest name. Lamar Jackson's been fairly public with everything going on with the Ravens at the moment. I think if you remember Deebo Samuel, even last training camp didn't start out right away because he wanted a new contract. Now, though a lot of in those cases, and the Lamar Jackson one still is playing out, obviously, but in a lot of those cases, like Deebo Samuel ended up getting his big contract. Jalen Ramsey ended up going to the Rams and then getting his big contract. Now he just got paid again, going to the Miami Dolphins. And, Devin White's certainly not the first player going into his final year on a rookie deal, especially when you're a first-round pick and fifth overall, like a top 5 pick. He's not the first guy to say, hey, I want my money now before I go into the season. But where I think it's really tough, and I respect anybody that just kind of has that blind/oblivious faith in him. Like I tweeted out earlier, I don't have a problem with Devin White, the man, the person, saying, I want $100 million contract, because the NFL shelf life is very short, especially if you're a linebacker. You're taking on a lot more collisions than some of the other positions. So you got to get paid when you can. So I don't blame Devin White for any of that. But on the same level, I can't blame the Bucs for saying, no, we're not going to trade you. We can't do that at the moment. And we're not going to pay you all this money right away because we don't trust you. I think the comment that was put up before by Salty Buccaneer, he struggles in a lot of areas. Devin White, there are a lot of great things about Devin, but he's also very, very inconsistent and is kind of trending in the wrong direction. And that's what concerns me. And that's why the Bucs are in a very, very difficult spot when it comes to Devin White.
Because the production is there when you look at like the stat sheet. Like the past 3 seasons, he's put up over like 120 tackles. He's played in nearly every game. You go back to the 2020 season when he had, 9.5 sacks. And you could see why people are so high on him. But he, since that time, hasn't taken the next step yet. And you kind of mentioned like some of the players like Deebo Samuel, Lamar Jackson, and kind of their contract situation. Lamar Jackson, he's disgruntled with the Ravens, but it looks like he's going to stick around. And he recruited Odell Beckham to come play with him.
That's also true.
Yeah. But with Lamar Jackson, like he's just playing out the last year on the franchise tag. And for Devin White, the likely scenario is he'll play out this season on that 5th-year option at $11 million. And having a contract double that, it's really hard to justify when you haven't seen Devin White emerge as a top-tier inside linebacker. Kind of going over it with Scott today, like he mentioned, there's maybe 10, 15 inside linebackers you can make a case for that are better than Devin White at this point. And a lot of them, like you look in free agency, you have Bobby Wagner. He got $5 million guaranteed. Levante David only got $7 million. The value in paying a linebacker top tier money, the only one that has made substantial money, you could say, is Roquan Smith and the deal that he got, where he was paid $20 million a year. Roquan Smith at this point, is better than Devin White. He's more proven. He's shown more upside. He has the ability to play in coverage, stuff the run. And Devin White, he's inconsistent. Some weeks he'll make a gaffe or he won't give the effort that he needs to. And then other weeks he looks like one of the best linebackers. So you're kind of betting on that being consistent, and I just don't see it.
This is a comment from Scott Reynolds in our Pewter Report group chat, which it is a private group chat, but I know Scott wouldn't have an issue with this. He said, I'm not an expert on NFL inside linebackers, but I do know Devin White is not in the top 10. And then he says, in no particular order, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, who you just mentioned, Demario Davis, Shaquille Leonard, Dre Greenlaw, Matt Milano, Levante David, Nick Bolton, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jermaine Pratt. And I think another caveat into all of this, yes, he's got that 4.4 speed from the NFL Combine. We talk about the inconsistencies, but it's the places where he is most inconsistent. Yes, he can use his speed and get after the quarterback, but how many times over the last 2 years do we see him just get absolutely blasted by a running back that's blocking him? Devin White shouldn't lose too many of those matchups. Shedding off of blocks. We all remember that game against the Ravens where he got absolutely annihilated by the starting center.
Lindenbaum.
Yeah.
Just pushed him like 20 yards down the field.
That cannot happen with a $100 million inside linebacker. Also, where were the turnovers for Devin White? Yes, he had a fumble recovery. He had a really good game against the Seattle Seahawks. I believe he had a sack and a turnover in that game. But where are the game-changing plays by Devin White in recent years? Like, when did Devin White take over a game? Let's remember that Super Bowl. He had 12 tackles. He had the interception that kept the Kansas City Chiefs out of the end zone. The game was over, but it sealed the game. And not allowing a touchdown is a huge thing to put on your resume. And I'm not really trying to blast Devin White because, again, I do see his side of it of I want to get paid now. And there is a lot of hype around Devin White, but it's from personnel and players outside of Tampa Bay that I truly believe do not watch Devin White on a regular basis because Devin White is flashy. He's got the speed. Speed is cool. Like when you were a kid, your elementary school, the fastest kid, like they got some props for being fast. Speed at any level is a really big thing. And Devin White is flashy. He's got the cool saying, get live 45. For whatever reason, that resonates with a lot of people around the league. And that's why Devin White made a Pro Bowl in 2021 as an alternate. And just because you were a Pro Bowl alternate doesn't mean you're a $100 million inside linebacker. And the fact that he's not even the best linebacker on his own team, I think speaks a ton of volume.